Welcome to On the Firing Line on the information station, AM 1440 KUHL. Information, education, news, and politics of firearms and ammunition is found here. If you have any questions, call us at 1-888-625-1440. That's 1-888-625-1440.
What if you woke up tomorrow and the world around you had changed overnight? You hear the alarm clock in the morning. You get up, turn on the TV, and tune in your local news while you get ready for work. The newscaster says martial law has been declared. If you want to go to work on time, you'll have to leave a little early. There will be multiple checkpoints to pass on your way to work. All checkpoints will be manned by armed National Guard and local law enforcement agents. You also hear that all vehicles and passengers are being checked for weapons, religious and political affiliations, and symptoms of possible biological infections. You also hear the replay of the president informing you that the reason he has declared martial law is because new cases of Ebola have been reported in 20 states across America. This, coupled with new threats from ISIS to seek out U.S. veterans' families, large gathering areas like malls, sports games, and schools to carry out jihad by suicide bombings. The president also calls for Americans to stay calm and continue with their daily routines, as not to break down the American economy and infrastructure. All civil unrest and disobedience will be dealt with in an expedient manner.
You are on the firing line. Be a part of today's show by giving us a call at 1-888-625-1440, or if you're in the Santa Maria area, call us at 928-1440. Yikes. Scary stuff.
Can you imagine?
Well, I'm trying not to.
You know, I've always thought about we should do a show kind of like what was it? Wells?
War of the Worlds?
War of the
Dude,
Worlds,
I was
yeah.
totally just thinking that.
Where we could start out, you know, with people calling in from Canada or Montana, and, you know, they're blocking off the borders and they're going through state by state, going into homes and stuff like that.
Yes.
Just through the whole show, have people calling in, you know,
Create the
playing part
hysteria.
of it. Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Before we know it, yeah, people will be running around.
AR, we'd be inciting, yeah.
Oh, no, yeah.
Oh, my God, that'd be on the news.
We would never incite.
Well, you know, it was something that I thought of this morning when I got up, and I thought, well, I'll go in, I'll write this, because it is interesting. This is probably not going to happen, but it's not too far-fetched, I don't think.
Well, we see it pretty much happening in other countries. So, you know, why couldn't it ultimately happen here?
Well, look what's going on around us.
Yeah, I think there's enough random events happening that if everything coincided one after the other more frequently, that and there could be people who believe that this is imminent.
There's definite people that probably think it's imminent. You know, I mean, people think all you gotta do is watch Doomsday Preppers.
Yeah, not just the tinfoil hat wearers, though.
Yeah, people are getting ready for everything.
Well, you know, that's the great thing about conspiracy theories, or great thing. Maybe it's not so great. But there's such a thin line between reality and what they believe that, you know, this kind of stuff is makes people want to believe it because it is so close to reality.
Well, there's that little bit of truth of something that is actually happening, and then they take it one step further.
Yeah, because that'll definitely, I mean, that, like you just said, that gets people listening, you know. If there's a bit of truth to it, that'll at least create that familiarity in their head, and then, boom, you got them. Now they're listening to the whole thing, and who knows what they're believing. That's
crazy.
the scary part.
Well, you remember FEMA? All the articles that were going out saying FEMA's buying up body bags, FEMA's buying car transport trains and turning them into people transports.
Yep.
They're setting up camps for incarceration of people to take them there and reprogram them, and if they don't conform, they'll be dealt with.
Yep.
And then we were hearing how the United States was going to be broken up into 4 different parts, and China was going to get part, Mexico was going to get part. Wasn't Russians going to get part of it too or something?
Russians get a part of everything.
I mean, all kinds of stuff. And I mean, there are people coming up with pictures of camps in Mexico, and then the stories of these different militaries that are coming in LAX, you know?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
There was all kinds of wild stuff flying around about that.
Unbelievable. But, you know, fortunately, I don't think that any of that really is going to happen, and I think that if the American public got wind that that was even close to happening, the sleeping giant would wake and there would be hell to pay.
Yeah, you'd hope so. Or, I mean, would people cower and wait for somebody else to try and come in and help them out and just make everything worse?
Hard to say.
You know, I had a friend. I wasn't going to say anything, but I had a friend one time. He was standing out in front of my house. We were talking, and he was talking about those things to me, and I'm kind of shaking my head. Okay, you know, kind of a thing. You know, like I hadn't heard it before.
Right.
You know, if you're around in the '70s, you heard that stuff too, right? But this is the one that got me. It was, above it, the planes go en route to Northern California and to the Northern Pacific coast. So you see the contrails, right?
Right.
I mean, they're vapor trails.
Oh man.
So he points to him. He says, "You know what that is, right?" I says, "Yeah, contrail." Now, if you've ever been on an airplane, okay, in your whole life, and you sat over the wing of any airplane,
You might
see
notice.
it.
You might.
It sits right there.
Right.
It's condensation that comes off the plane, right? He's telling me it's poison gases.
It makes the skies blue.
Yeah.
That's what somebody told me once. They literally same deal. They pointed up and said, "You know what those are? Yeah, contrails. No, that's the chemies that they put in the sky. It's chemicals.
Is that why the
That's what
toilets
he
are
was trying to
blue?
tell
Makes
me.
the sky blue. Yeah, it's exactly. It's spreading around tidy bowl. That's what it is.
Seeding of the clouds.
Nobody doesn't
Yes.
mean to
Oh
tell me
my
he did
gosh.
not understand that the ocean is what makes the sky blue.
That's impossible. Well, then what makes the ocean blue? That doesn't make any sense. Sorry.
Yeah, round and round we go. Here we go. But yeah, I
Chicken or
mean,
the
you know,
egg?
there's those suspicious things and all those weird thoughts. You think to yourself, at first I thought he was kidding.
Right.
You know, I thought, and then I said to him, I go, "You've been on an airplane before, haven't you?" Yeah.
What'd you
Sat
think
over
about
a
that
wing
experience?
of an airplane?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just
Crazy.
the world's full of stuff like that, though. I mean,
But I have seen that prep.
and-
That show's fun to watch, though.
Yeah. But that's a
That show
perfect
was cool.
example. All they know is the truth, and the truth in that part is that something is coming off the back of the airplanes. The rest of it you made up, somebody made up, and sounds to me like some people believed
Every
it.
plane is sending the gas off of it.
Every
Be
one
dead.
of them. Yep, United Airlines is doing it.
We're slowly destroying the human Earth, and
Oh, well.
I don't even know where to go with it. That's how.
Well, speaking of where are we going?
Wow.
Well,
Where are
that's
we
what you
going
do
in
when,
the
when
show?
you're listening to this. You kind of I heard that oh yeah, that President Bush had all these things in Utah, these like little cities and boxcars, and
Oh yeah.
you're thinking, you mean to tell me everybody in Utah
Well,
doesn't see that? I mean, wow.
That's how Katrina all started.
Duh.
President Bush,
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
and
that's
the
true.
contrails, because
Yeah.
they seeded the
hear
clouds
that.
and the rain came, and
Broke the levees.
Yeah,
the levees, yeah,
well, I
exactly.
see-
That
Hey,
just
wait a
reminded
minute!
me
I
of the Led
heard
Zeppelin
Spike
song.
Lee say that. Spike Lee said that.
Well, Spike
on,
Lee can continue to
nothing
just
but
make
channels,
movies.
or nothing but commercials. NBC, nothing but commercials. He was on there one morning.
Yeah, I've heard Rosie say a lot of stuff. I want to say Perez. Rosie O'Donnell, though. Yeah,
Oh well,
back on the View too.
we let her go. We break her out. We break her out and then let her perform. We're back.
Yeah.
It's tough. My dad believes in a lot of that stuff. So it's
Come
like,
on, Dad.
oh my God, no, Dad, no. But my dad's a well-educated person, and he can come up with some of the best arguments as to why things are.
But is there real zombies in Africa?
Well, I mean, there's people getting zipped into bags and then moving, so people are like, oh my goodness, they're not dead actually, but they weren't dead to begin with. So they're not zombies, they're just folks.
Ouch.
Sick folks.
Crazy stuff. Well, why don't we go ahead and start this thing off? We've got a few different articles that are kind of interesting today. And we're going to be kind of taking these articles and molding them into the idea that, there's a possibility our Second Amendment can change. And not only our Second Amendment, but also a number of our other amendments. And a lot of this comes down from things that are happening worldwide, also here in our own state, some of the laws that have been passed that violate these amendments. And in doing so, we're going to get a showdown. It's going to be a showdown of whether or not they're going to stand and be legitimate, or if they're going to get shot down eventually, because some of these things are the America we did not expect when we were growing up. It's the America that none of our parents ever thought would happen. And yet here we are in our generation to face it. And it's beyond imagination. Kanani actually came up with this first article, and it's actually a pretty good article if you think about it. It talks about the jihadi logic. Kanani, why don't you kind of explain what some of that logic is, what's going on there, and how that can affect
The jihadi logic. Well,
our Second Amendment, possibly.
that's a nice title.
Yeah, I actually like
let's-
this article.
Let's hear about that jihad logic.
Well, this article was written by Charles Krauthammer, and he was going into the two reasons as to what the Islamic State was actually thinking. And the two options that he's come up with is one, that the terrorists are more depraved and less savvy than we think, or that they're fully aware of the inevitable consequence of their broadcast beheadings and they intended the outcome. So I think there is a lot of potentially, I think more of the second one, that they did it on purpose in order to get that infamy and to beat out the rest of the other Muslim believers and or other Al-Qaeda supporters in what their belief is, so that they can be the top-ranking terrorist in the world.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it could go either way. Because if you have all these different, they're all fighting under basically the same flag, basically, but they have their different factions. And, these guys they're amped up, they're all whatever they are. And I think some of it might be heat of the moment that has the repercussion down the line that they might not be thinking about at the time.
Like it's a convenient outcome, but...
Right, yeah, or even that's just the way they do it. They capture an enemy and they chop their head off or something. But now that it's happening to U.S. citizens and Canadians, or Britain, yeah, thank you. Now it's kind of put into the limelight where now maybe they're going, oh, so yeah, that's a good tactic, is what they're thinking. But who knows if it was 100% from the first chop, if it was meaning to get here, or if it took once they saw the uproar from the first one or two, did that keep it going?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's been, I think, those videos circulating of them reaching out their message out to the general public and broadcasting their beliefs, that potentially it was a one-uppy kind of thing. It's like, you guys might be talking, you guys might be holding your hostages there, but we're going to do one more thing, and we're actually going to show us doing the deed.
Yeah, I mean, it does have a certain nefarious level to that. But no, I think that's right. Just taking it one step further. Because knowing, that they're terrorists and we're bound by laws. They have the Sharia law. That's what binds them. But other than that, we can't, no matter how much we hate people, we can't take them in the room and do something that, awful to somebody.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't. And that's the thing. But they don't have those moral codes and even the actual physical laws to keep them from doing it.
Well, I think they also have on their side is their belief system is that these people that they're beheading, they're doing the righteous word of Allah. So that's going to drive them to do more extreme things than what we do.
Well, and in their ideals, they are following the law. That's the difference between our laws here in America. Our laws, while yet are somewhat based off of the Ten Commandments, which is Judeo-Christian ideology, we have a different set of religious ideologies, and these are unchanging. Whereas, like in America, maybe at one time, hey, nobody drank coffee or smoked cigarettes very much because the church said not to. But as time changed, we changed, and certain things were allowed to happen. But in this instance, when we're dealing with the jihadists and with Islam, they're the same religion as it was when it was created, almost. They're still to the T, following the letter of what they believe.
That's a good point.
And it's this article that you brought up is actually kind of interesting, because it points out that no matter which path we take with this message that they're sending, they almost have a win. Whether if it's they're so smart that they're actually putting out a message because they're grasping all these other people and they're scaring us. And then if they're not so smart, they're still scaring us and putting out a message.
Yeah.
It's almost like a game of chess. Like they've thought all the pieces through, and okay, so instead of moving this knight, or if I move this knight, he's going to move that pawn, or he's going to move that king. And our next move is this, and their next move is that. They've thought it out.
Yeah. Are they so smart that they're crazy, or are they crazy that makes them that big of a genius?
Right. And here's another thing. A lot of people forget about, what is it, the Caliph or Caliph?
Caliph.
Is it the Caliph?
I believe so.
Okay, which has been prophesized, in that region for a long time.
You mean caliphate?
Caliphate. Thank you. That at some point there will be a person that will come back and will rule over all of the Muslims. And the leader of ISIS right now believes it is possible that he is that person. He believes through violence, maybe the violence isn't the correct word, but violence definitely plays a part in it. He believes that through his doings and through his religious belief, that he's fulfilling the prophecy to become the caliphate, you said? Caliphate. And so we have to be very careful because, to be honest with you, while we have a military that's technologically much more sound and better, and so do a lot of the European nations combined to making a great military, there are more Muslims than there are Christians and Jews put together. And if this turns out to be a world war, because if they do get the attention of other Muslims, I mean, we look, even in this article, it states that there are other countries over there that are not helping us or helping anybody else. Yes, the Arab nation is, but there's a reason for that, because they don't want to lose power. But you have Turkey over there who's saying, what? You cannot use our air bases? You have other Arab nations that are not going to submit any help or give any troops over to help deal with this thing, because they're afraid that it could backlash, where if America just drops out, hey, they're going to have to suffer the aftermath. Or B, hey, these are people of our same religion. How can we go and fight against them? And if he is this great prophesied person, how can we step up against that? I mean, we'll be shamed, we'll be beheaded. It'll be a whole nother Iraq and everything else all over again everywhere else. That, unfortunately, is going to happen either way. I don't know if I see any way out of this. And it's unfortunate, but these beheadings are actually attracting more people in that faith to come and help them. And here's another thing, too. Before in Iraq and in Afghanistan, I think it was, I don't mean to be rude, but I think it was mostly cavemen that were out there fighting. They were people that grew up fighting all the time, and that's just their way of life. But now in this new group, we're seeing more money, more things being thrown into the mix, and now instead of just a lower class group of people, they're getting even a medium class group of people, which means more educated.
Yeah,
because
lots of college students.
Right, and the more you get more educated students, the more ideas are going to be introduced into the system to help them accomplish their goal.
I think additionally you get a youthful fervor to do and to be included and be a part of this group and do what it takes to succeed and rise up the ranks.
Yeah, that alone will push it.
Right.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether or not you completely believe in what they're doing or not.
I think you're absolutely right. There's a lot at stake here, and if our government, and really it's not so much the government now, it's really us, the people. If we don't get it together and figure out what's going on and remember the history of the world, not just our country, we're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So this is something that we really need to think about. This can affect us so greatly, and even here in America, in a time where we're fighting for our Second Amendment, when it's very possible, I'm not trying to incite anything here, but it's very possible we may want those weapons on us.
Right.
So,
I mean, we've seen some of the worst things we've seen happen in the name of religion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we look over history, and that's kind of what you were just saying we have going on. You know, I mean, it's Muslims and it's Christians, and that divide is scary to me.
Yeah, I actually just got a text. John sent me one. Muslims 2.04 billion, Christians 2.1 billion. So we're almost a 50-50 split. I mean, even there.
Okay, and that's
Worldwide,
still crazy.
So
I mean, that can create one hell of a war. All right, we should take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have more of this conversation and more information for you, because this is definitely an interesting topic. We'll be right back with you on the firing line.
You're listening to On the Firing Line on the information station.
This is On the Firing Line with Matt, Jim, and Joe. We will be right back with you on the firing line. If you have any questions, give us a call at 888-625-1440 or in the Santa Maria area, 928-1440. Don't forget, you can always listen in on am1440.com.
Tactical Guns and Gear is the Central Coast leader in tactical rifles, pistols, shotguns, and accessories. Building an AR-15, they have lower receivers, parts kits, trigger groups, and a ton of other AR parts from the most popular companies and stuff.
They are also the home of the Women's 101 Firearms and Women's Advanced Pistol classes and have trained thousands of local ladies.
The store is located off the 101 freeway in Santa Maria near the North Broadway exit. Look for the big rifle sign on the freeway as well as the giant 5-ton Tactical military truck, and they're now open on Mondays. America!
On the Firing Line is happy to have Law Offices of Christopher Coleman as a sponsor. The Law Offices of Christopher Coleman is located in Santa Barbara on 2019B State Street, specializing in personal injury and, more importantly, the Second Amendment and On the Firing Line with Matt and Joe. Give them a call at 805-682-3352, serving the Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, and San Luis Obispo areas for over 25 years.
Have you been looking for a new or used motorcycle or all-terrain vehicle?
With a staff that has a combined 270 years of experience to inspire and help you make that informed decision.
Santa Maria Motorcycles is your one-stop shop, and their mission is to provide you with that ultimate experience.
They also have rentals, so you can take that ride you have been dreaming of up the coast.
They're located at 2022 Presker Lane in Santa Maria, or give Chris and his team a call at 805-928-3668. Again, that's 805-928-3668.
We're happy to have a special guest here today at the Plumbing Talk Studios, Jeremy Griffin, owner of Griffin Plumbing in Orcutt. Welcome, Jeremy.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, Jeremy, the reason your plumbing company is called Griffin Plumbing is that your last name is, in fact, Griffin.
Yeah, that's right.
Unbelievable! Griffin, just like the legendary creature with the body of a lion and the wings of an eagle.
Yeah.
What a brilliant move, Jeremy.
I'm a genius.
To name your plumbing company after this majestic creature. A creature known not only to have divine power, but also to be a protector from all things evil.
Well, it is my last name.
Audience, listen carefully. If your plumbing devices are threatened in any way, I implore you to seek the power and protection of the Griffin.
We're always here to help. Just give us a call.
Call the Griffin.
Find us at callgriffinplumbing.com or call 934-1949.
You are on the Firing Line with Joe, Matt, and Kanani.
You're back on the Firing Line. Give us a call at 1-888-625-1440, or if you're in the Santa Maria area, 928-1440.
Well, that's a good question, though, Kanani. State that question again.
So on the break, we were talking about which is going to be the priority in a lot of these people's belief system. Is it going to be their commonwealth and their capitalism, or will it be their religion? And I was beginning to ask that. Is the power aspect of them beheading people on television and America not responding with ultimate force, is that not going to draw those people back in to choose power or religion through power? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think that it will, because here's the thing. Depending on how America reacts, or any country who goes through an action like this that's directed towards them, obviously.
Right.
Of course, they think of us as a country, not as the people as a country, but or maybe they do. But anyways, if we don't react correctly, then they're going to feel empowered.
Right.
And in that empowerment, we stand to receive a lashing for it. And it's scary because right now, I'm sorry, but I believe President Barack Obama has placed us in a position where we have been weakened. And, you know, I remember when he was first running, it was all about, I'm going to strengthen our ties around the world. We are going to once again look good or whatnot. And it's turned out quite the opposite. And when it's come to the time of strife, he's lied to us and he has left us vulnerable, made us so weak it's not even funny.
But I think the description of being weak according to Obama and being weak according to what we think are two different things. I mean, our military strength is that beyond everyone else really in the world, but if we don't use it, what does that mean?
How much?
Well,
Yeah.
I know that some people will say, hey, look, it takes more strength to not hit a person when they've hit you, you know, to turn that cheek.
But you're assuming that they're in the right to not respond with aggression versus they have aggressed us and it is our turn to respond with an equal
there's a time
force.
when you have to hit the other person.
Because in a way, they don't learn any other way besides getting thumped.
Yeah,
you're right.
That's exactly true.
And unfortunately, now that we're dealing with religion, this is why our forefathers created our amendments, I believe. They separated religion because of how they had been oppressed by religion before with the kings of England and so forth, and how religions played a big part over in Europe. Our forefathers separated it so that yes, we can have religion, but we have a guideline of how that religion can interact with us. It's not to rule over us, but it's like, well, God, I've actually got it here, I think in the First Amendment. Let me find it here really quick for us, because the guideline is pretty simple, and it makes sense. Let's see here.
Actually, it's like this. The government cannot be religious. You can perform religious stuff. We get a little mixed up in some of the laws that have been especially passed recently, but actually it says that we will not infringe upon your religious beliefs, but we will not become the religious organization. We're the government, you're the religious organization. And what's happened is, it seems like even some of the government things, they can't do anything religious at all because of the separation of church and state. But you made a point that's really struck me, because I did not know this until just recently. I don't know if you know what the 12th Ahmad is. Ahmad. That means that the 12th guy that's going to rule is going to happen. That means to them, that means just simply this. If you got cockroaches in your house, you're going to stomp them out.
Right.
You are not going to set some kind of delicious track where you're going to put them aside. You're going to get rid of them. So that's if that's the way they are going with caliphate, that's what caliphate is. We're going to bring in the 12th Ahmad. And that means anybody who does not believe they're a cockroach. So there's no logical way to say I can get along with a cockroach. I'm going to stomp this out. This is something that we cannot have. If that's the case, there is no handshake to that.
There isn't. That's the whole point.
Well, you were saying that ISIS or ISIL, whatever you want to call
ISIS,
them, right, says that they have this is a caliphate. They believe that they have the 12th Ahmad,
right,
which I believe was supposed to have come out of Iran. That's what a
lot of people believe.
Yeah. Well, because of the way it's statuted, because they are the land of ancient Persia, and that's where, from what we understand, that's where it's supposed to come. I don't know. I'm not into that religion, although I've dabbled with it a little bit and understood a little bit. But if that's the case, like what Kanani was saying, we can't shake hands with them.
No,
it's not
can't.
going to happen.
There's no agreement there. I mean, we are our enemies.
It's caliphate. I mean, it's not just an argument. Hey, you're bombing us. You're doing this because you hear that. Oh, they're upset because we bombed them. No. If it's this,
it's
a whole. This
is an enemy that we have never dealt with before. Unlike any other enemy,
I agree with
that. There is
now.
no way to negotiate with a religion when religion is based on faith, and this faith for this religion. I mean, just think of this.
It's more than just faith. You see, it's it. This is it. This
Look
is
at their
like
Sharia
knock
law.
down the house, because guess what? If you're not part of us, you are not in it.
Right. That's why I was saying in America we have a country that's designed to allow all of us to have religion and have different religions.
Right.
There you do not.
Well, that's
and
caliphate.
there that religion is the law and the government. It's unlike what we have here. And so you have a different thought pattern happening with these people. Yeah. That's why they believe in different things that we just can't perceive or understand, because the way we're raised does not mix. But again, like you said, the cockroaches, you stomp them out.
Because it means you have to purify the land and purify what you do.
Right.
And the only way you can do that is to exterminate those who are against us. See, that's the whole thing of caliphate. You must purify yourself so that the 12th Ahmad can come. Rule.
The only way this is going to happen is for them to do what they're doing. They are going to have to get all American soldiers, foreign soldiers off the lands. They're going to have to. They're going to have to go through and get rid of all of the false countries and unite everybody together under one caliphate.
Right. That's what it means.
And this is the path that they're on right now.
I did not know that that's what ISIS's thing was. I haven't really followed, because I thought they were a JV team. I was told they were a JV team. So
Who told you that? Was it the president? Did he say that? Come on.
But I do know about Caliphate, and I do know about the 12th Ahmad.
Wow. Some heavy stuff here.
It's significantly more complex than just they don't like us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It is more complex now than I think, than we're even getting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's another thing too: is a lot of people I think want to push the blame on this. This all started because we went into Iraq.
See, that's
Bush's fault, right?
Right. But this has been going on longer than that. You can go back to Afghanistan when the Russians were there, and they didn't like the Russians there. The Russians were the evil soldiers that needed to be kicked out. You can go back even further than that, to when the Germans were there. The Britons, this is something that's been going on the French for a long time. And it's coming to a head. If we're not careful, you can darn well bet you're going to be shooting your gun out in your backyard.
Well, I think in the article that Krauthammer wrote that previous to America had kind of kept everybody else in check. So they didn't get as big as they're trying to puff up now. That they also didn't have the technology to be able to do the things that they are now.
Yeah.
So whether or not their size is an issue, they're definitely getting their name out there and are being seen by the world.
And they're taking over the medias.
Yeah.
They're utilizing their own medias that they've created.
They're utilizing our own media
and
against
ours,
us.
yes.
Oh yeah, they're using the social media.
Absolutely. And well, not only that, but they're attacking the very fibers of our society too. Do you remember, Matt, when we had Father Fanatic? I
totally was thinking about that earlier.
I mean, think how that gentleman tried to coerce us into believing something that was not even true, and we weren't buying it.
Oh yeah, but he was looking at us like we were crazy for not. You know, I mean, it was, but that was how it was. It was, no, you guys don't know. This is how it is.
Right.
Listen to me. I'm going to tell you right now how it really is.
It's like, sorry, I don't buy it.
Yeah, and, we were just kind of sitting here, but that's very much how it was. And then just seeing Father Fanatic and Mr. Muhammad go at it, I mean, holy smokes,
That was good radio.
Yeah, I mean, that's, if that can happen in here on friendly territory, just imagine.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're not selling apples here.
That's
No.
what, exactly. Exactly.
This isn't about selling apples.
Right, that's what I'm...
This is more than... This is like...
Oh, no, this is...
pinnacle of everything. Caliphate is. That's what it... It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy the way they think, because in some aspects, you do want something to come back, like we want Christ to come back and rule and reign, peace and love and harmony and everything,
Oh, yeah.
But this is not. This is
Right.
purify the land. He's coming. You got to get everything...
Wow, something about Jesus coming back in peace and harmony. I'm not quite sure that he's going to bring back a whole lot of peace and harmony.
But yeah, I mean, but that's the thought you have. You're going to bring back the way the earth is really supposed to be ran.
Well,
I
think you're onto something. I definitely think you're onto something that, depending on which side of the religious view that you're on, their peace and harmony is for the 12th Imam to come and to purify the lands around them, where ours is the exact opposite of that.
Opposite. Yeah.
So I really don't think you can argue too much with people who consider themselves to be true believers.
It's unfortunate.
I think that's what it is, because like I
There
said,
is
they're
no
not selling you
argument.
apples. They're really telling you, hey.
Apples are the only way to go.
Yeah.
Well, duh. But that's how they're going to act.
Yeah.
I mean, everything you say, even if you do finally, let's just say you start kind of listening to them for real, they're still going to slap you because you're only listening. You're not getting it. It's only 1/10 of it.
Yeah.
If you point out to them,
it won't matter if you point it out to them, because they won't hear it. It's going to be the same.
Exactly.
It's going to be the same when he pointed out to us the things of Islam, and we didn't hear it.
I remember him telling us, oh, yes, we believe in the Christian view, and Christians are good people, and we like Christians. I'm thinking to myself, what?
I know, yeah. Well, he was just...
That don't fit in the 12th Imam.
No.
That don't fit in everything I know.
Which is unfortunate, because if you go to their book, it does talk about the word and the gospel.
Yep.
But it just tells Jesus as a prophet that did good things. It doesn't say he's deity.
Well, that may be so, but it does talk about, and even Muhammad had to go to the Jewish people and confirm that what he was thinking was correct in what he wrote or what was written in there. So, or the idea, not what was written in there, but the idea that ended up on paper. Yeah. But that book, it's a contradiction of itself if you ever read it. There's a lot of parts that go against what one part says versus another. So there's a lot of stuff. I mean, but how are you going to argue that point? You're right. There is no arguing with it.
Right. I mean, it's just like how when he tried to argue his point to us. You know, I mean, both of us are Christians, and I mean, we weren't really hearing it. You know, I mean, we were listening.
Well, I was listening,
but we weren't hearing it.
Well, I heard it. I just didn't like it. Yeah, I heard too much.
We need to take another break.
All right. We do have to take a break. It looks like we're going to lose Kanani for the rest of the show. She's got to go out. She's attending a...
No on P fundraiser sponsored by Collab.
No on P.
No on P.
That was my ringing endorsement.
Does that mean no P?
No P.
Nope on P.
Nope on P.
Yeah.
N-O-P.
I wish that we could, but we can't. Absolutely, we cannot go to the signs and say yes on P and say yes, do not vote for P.
Yes, no on P. Of course.
So don't change any of your neighbor's signs, but
just take them down.
No.
Weren't we just talking about the freedom of exchange of ideas here, that we can, differ and it's totally cool in America?
That was just
This is not discussable. All right, so we'll be right back with you on the firing line.
We'll be back to more of On the Firing Line with Joe and Jim after this.
This is On the Firing Line with Matt, Jim, and Joe. We'll be right back with you on the firing line. If you have any questions, give us a call at 888-625-1440 or in the Santa Maria area, 928-1440. Don't forget, you can always listen in on am1440.com.
Tactical Guns and Gear is the Central Coast leader in tactical rifles, pistols, shotguns, and accessories. Building an AR-15, they have lower receivers, parts kits, trigger groups, and a ton of other AR parts from the most popular companies and stuff.
They are also the home of the Women's 101 Firearms and Women's Advanced Pistol Classes and have trained thousands of local ladies.
The store is located off the 101 freeway in Santa Maria near the North Broadway exit. Look for the big rifle sign on the freeway as well as the giant 5-ton Tactical military truck, and they're now open on Mondays. America!
On the Firing Line is happy to have Law Offices of Christopher Coleman as a sponsor. The Law Offices of Christopher Coleman is located in Santa Barbara on 2019B State Street, specializing in personal injury and, more importantly, the Second Amendment and On the Firing Line with Matt and Joe. Give them a call at 805-682-3352, serving the Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, and San Luis Obispo areas for over 25 years.
On the air with the Midnight Mystic is one of our regular callers, truck driver Charlie.
Boy, I just seen another one, Midnight Mystic.
Another Griffin, Charlie?
I'm telling you, they're all over the Central Coast now.
How long have you been on the road now, Charlie?
2, 5, 8 weeks, I don't know.
Perhaps you should park the truck and get some sleep, and maybe the Griffins will disappear.
Well, there it is again. I'm going after it.
What does it look like, Charlie?
Holy mackerel. It's got the body of a lion and the head of an eagle.
Is it flying, Charlie?
It's on the side of a white truck.
Is it a Griffin plumbing truck, Charlie?
Could be. I don't know. I'm pulling right up to it.
We seem to have lost contact with Charlie, but I'm sure he'll be okay because Griffins, just like the good folks at Griffin Plumbing, are here to protect and serve. In fact, if your plumbing devices are threatened in any way,
call the Griffin.
Find us at callgriffinplumbing.com or call 934-1949.
You are on the firing line with Joe, Matt, and Connie.
That's right. You're on the firing line. Give us a call at 1-888-625-1440, or if you're in the Santa Maria area, call us at 928-1440. Let us know what you think about this stuff. Yeah, we want to hear about
heavy.
it.
It's heavy.
Yeah,
During our commercial break, folks, you should have heard our talking, man. We were like, I did not know that they think they're going to bring caliphate. If the word has been thrown out there, I've heard it a couple of times, you know what I'm saying? But it's more or less like just a throw.
Right.
But if they're really thinking that, that's some serious stuff.
Well, absolutely, because this can't be taken lightly.
Why would the president take that lightly? He didn't do his homework?
Hello, he fired everybody that knew anything, and the guy that knew everything over there has passed away. So,
I cannot believe he keeps saying, "Yeah, I just read this" or "I just heard this."
Oh, I know.
You're just like, what? Didn't President Kennedy read like 7 newspapers a day, and didn't Bush used to read all kinds of stuff himself? The Bush Senior.
It's kind of hard to read newspaper when you're playing golf.
Yeah, and they also knew how to salute. So there's lots of things here.
Well, to be quite honest, I didn't get. I used to be in the Navy and stuff. I didn't quite care about that, whether he salutes or not, because he didn't have to.
Right.
You know who did start it though?
Who started?
Ronald Reagan started that.
Oh,
he started that. So he started saluting, which he was giving them recognition.
Right.
Is what he was actually doing, which is very honorable.
Well, he had the choice of either giving him the recognition or not.
Right. Exactly. You have that choice.
That is a good point.
But if you're going to do it,
don't do it with
properly.
A coffee cup. Yeah.
Don't do it half.
Starbucks.
Yeah.
With a Starbucks.
Don't do it half aching. Just do it properly.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy that we've gone through this. This definitely can affect us here at home in many ways.
Absolutely.
It can affect our economy. It can affect our loved ones.
I think it is going to affect our economy.
That's what I wanted to say, but I didn't want to go quite that far. But get a clue. If this is true, if they really believe this, I want everybody out there to get on the internet and start studying about caliphate and start studying about the 12th Ahmad and what it really, truly means. Because if this is true, if ISIS is the leader of this, folks, bar the back door, man. I'm telling you, you're
ushering in.
You are absolutely ushering in the end of.
Right.
I mean, they're not going to quit. They are not. This isn't something. Oh, we lost.
No.
That's not what's going to happen. They're going to get a bigger bomb. They're going to get more people. They're going to
whatever it takes.
And that's what they're telling. I was wondering, why are they getting all these recruits? Do you know that they got nearly 15,000 outside the Muslim.
They're bringing in more and more people.
15,000 is a lot of recruits that weren't born and raised in the Middle East.
Yeah.
It's definitely scary.
That's a lot of imports.
You wonder why, though. Didn't you wonder that? Didn't you give that a thought? Like I did. What do you want to do? Kill? If you think you're bringing in the end of all, and you're going to be part of it, that gives you a pretty big head.
Well, I was just going to say, and people don't care. I mean, they, like you just said, it gives them. I mean, it's almost probably in some places, like, lack of a better word, the cool thing to do.
Well, that's what it is. It's like, hey, I'm going to bring in
this guy, this guy, and this guy.
I'm going to be an eternal warrior,
right?
For my God.
Exactly. And then, especially when they start targeting a younger group, I mean, it probably sounds appealing, especially after we talked about how different the lifestyles and religions are. It comes to a point where it is the popular thing to do, and they don't think that they're ushering in evil. They think that they're fighting, like
this is a great war.
Exactly. They think they're doing the absolute, wholehearted right thing. And that's where it gets really ugly.
It is. It's very ugly.
Well, not ugly, scary.
Scary, yeah.
There's no limit. I mean, they're not going to say, "Well, we lost." That's not going to happen. They're going to fight to the very last thing because they believe that they're ushering in like they're going to be the end time warrior, or they're going to be the final warriors.
We will see.
I hope it's not true. I mean, I hope what I'm saying is not true. But if it is, if it's the 12th Ahmad, if they believe that, and if he was born in the Iranian area or he's a Persian, they believe that. That's what they believe. That's where the 12th Ahmad's coming from.
That's what Akhnashad.
Banashad, yeah, whatever his name is.
That's what he used to think.
Flip a coin.
He really wanted to usher that time in.
Well, I know that's where I got it from. That's where I first heard it from. His speech, and then I started finding out about it and started.
The thing is, though, is our government does not want to incite America, does not want to provoke America. And a lot of it comes from, God, dare I say, the political views of the liberals. They do not want to believe that this is possible. They do not want to believe that even if it is possible, that we should do anything about it because, that's their business.
Exactly.
Not realizing that it's absolutely our business.
Our business.
Because if we get taken out because we're just sticking our nose to ourselves, then that's our stupidity. But here we are. It's just like we had, the beheading. A gentleman beheaded a lady.
The Britain yesterday?
No, I'm talking about here in America. Where the gentleman went into the business and beheaded a lady, was starting to beat another lady and wanted to behead her and was shot. America says that's an isolated incident.
Workplace
incident. But the truth of the matter is that gentleman got fired from that business for a reason. Why? Because the ladies... if I remember the story correctly, they were not working to the standard of what his religion said, and he thought that they should be stoned or beaten for it, or gotten in trouble. So where does he get that idea? He gets it from the mosque that he goes to.
Right.
The mosque is preaching this type of violence and whatnot.
Yeah,
and when he beheaded these people, he beheaded them based on his religion. Well, how do we clarify what an extreme terrorist is?
That's a good point, because otherwise there's ruthless criminals and then there's terrorists. There's extreme terrorists.
How does America define a terrorist?
To me, you add one thing.
This is a terrorist.
Yeah, you add one thing into that act of violence and it becomes an act of terror. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot. You add that one R word and suddenly it goes from violence to terror.
Right.
Not so suddenly, actually.
And you know, the people around the world, Muslim or American, have the attributes to be good people. That's a fact.
Yeah.
But when religion gets involved, things change.
Well, it's more than religion here. I mean, yeah, it is. I think that's the root of it. But it's almost like a calling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I see
It's
that.
destiny.
Yeah.
You know, which is greater and more powerful in you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you have destiny riding inside you, you know, that's a bigger thing. And young men and young women want that. And, you know, just to make a point, you think the women in the Middle East wear burqas because they're stylish?
No.
They wear burqas because they're told to. They have to.
Right.
So, that's their religion. So what I'm thinking, though, is that what I keep thinking now, I woke up all of a sudden. Seriously, you start thinking, because you go like, hey, wait a minute, are you serious about this? These guys that ran the planes into the buildings nearly, almost 13 years ago now. So, and I thought at the time, these are just radical nutcases and stuff. But when you really start finding out what caliphate means and what these religious means and what these things these mean, these guys thought they were bringing in and doing the right thing to open the door for the 12th Ahmad to come through.
It started a whole dominoes effect that is leading up to something. You're absolutely
Well,
right.
there's been a lot of that. I mean, they blew up the barracks in the 80s.
Yeah, there's all kinds. I mean,
you know, and
coal,
even,
all kinds of stuff.
Coal was another one. Yeah, they're screaming Allah.
If we don't, oh God, how do I'm almost forgot what I was going to say. There's so much I want to be able to say about this, but there's just so little time.
We got
as a
about
matter of fact.
9 minutes.
If we just don't open up our eyes and bypass what our government is feeding us, we are in for a rude awakening, because our government is going to hide this stuff. We already know that our president does not know how to deal with this. He does not have the ability to lead us as a nation to incite the rest of the world to join us to fight against this for the true purpose. And our politicians, even if we had a president that was in there that could do this fight, we have so many politicians in place right now that would fight him that we would lose the war off of merit rather than battle. And that's a travesty. That's
our own representative.
Yes.
Look at her record. Our own representative is totally against this stuff.
Which is a sad thing. No, I'm not into this for, hey, so we can go kill somebody, but I do want security. I want peace.
Yeah.
And if it means that we have to do some nasty business to make sure that that's going to happen, guess what? That's part of living on this planet.
Yeah, I'm 100%. I mean, the saying we're all pretty much familiar with, that, whatever it is, rough men, or you sleep quietly at night because rough men, do violence on your behalf or something. And that's what we're dealing with here. And I think you're totally right, Joe. If the government had it their way, America would just remain sheep about this whole thing, and especially the civilian population. I mean, just keep feeding us the butterflies and the sunshine, and before you know it, if we don't actually look at it ourselves one morning, who knows? I mean, 9/11 hit us all real hard.
That's right. Tuesday morning, 8:30 in the morning. Boom.
We all know where we were that minute.
That's right.
I mean, just think about that.
That was a scary day.
Yeah,
very
it really
scary.
was. We were just talking about that last night when we looked up in the sky and we saw the contrails. I remember a day when there weren't any.
Yeah, you're right.
There were no contrails. There was nothing in the sky.
Yeah, that was a very different time right there.
Yes. We got socked that day, and we united, and then we fell apart, and we haven't really quite gotten it back together again.
Right.
The thing of it is that, well, if you read about World War I, wasn't that, once we found out about they were gassing people and they were doing horrible things in World War I, we jumped right in.
Right.
We said, wait a minute, you guys are crazy and we're going to stop you. But World War II, if the Japanese would have not bombed us, we wouldn't have been in it.
Right.
We never really got in it, even though Britain was begging us that they're the next one being knocked down.
Yeah.
They're right there next to France. France had already been, France, they live with white flags. I mean, they teach their children how to put one of them up. It's true, But the thing of it is that we were reluctant to get into war. What I'm saying, and then if you read some kind of what I call unjust history, where people say Roosevelt did that on purpose.
Right.
The truth of the matter is if you look at the different newspapers and articles of that time period, there were many politicians that did not want us to be a part of the war.
Absolutely.
It's just like what we're going through now.
Yeah.
And this is nothing new.
There was whole groups of political party within the Democratic Party, within the Republican Party, that were totally against.
We had Nazi parties here.
Yeah, they were calling themselves something. I can't remember right now, right off the top of my head. I have to think about it for a few minutes. But they had different parties within their own parties that they were doves, and that's where the word dove and hawk came from too. Came out of the World War II people. But in realization, now you look in hindsight, you say, "Hey, it's a good thing we got in that thing."
I mean, exactly. I mean, we might not have fought in the war if Pearl Harbor never happened, but the rest of the rest of the world might be speaking German or something. So,
we're only one vote away from that anyway.
Or Russia and Germany would still be fighting today. Who knows?
Could be. It could be like the North Koreans. They never stopped fighting.
That's the thing. I mean, when people start saying, "Well, if we never fought that war or whatever," that's we could what if that until the cows come home. I mean, that's just. There's no point in saying, we should concentrate on what is happening, like we try to on the show, instead of speculating on what could have happened differently, I guess.
But again, I ask you, what if you woke up tomorrow and the world around you had changed overnight? Well, and that was the beginning of this show.
There's a very good possibility of that.
There's a very strong possibility. And this, I think, really accents the idea that we've been talking about this whole time. You need to... How do I exercise your Second Amendment? And in doing so, you need to practice. You need to learn how to use that firearm. Yeah. Because we can have all the people in America armed, but if they don't know how to use them, they're going to be worthless.
It's worthless, yeah. It may as well be holding rocks again.
Let us be a country of sheepdogs.
Yeah, why not? But, I mean, it's a good point. And, even going back to World War II and stuff, there was all kinds of times where... just the normal people, military would bring X amount of, and they would shoot. Here are the guns. Come on, let's shoot them. We're just going to learn how to shoot guns today, basically. Right. They used to travel around and do that. I mean, unfortunately, not any longer, really. I'm sure that still happens, but not on a public scale for just anybody who can come in. But it just brings a good point to the public having a general readiness level.
They should. And it's a responsibility. I think it goes back to, I've heard like what you were talking about. Your lawyer friend had said, that there is a standing law that's been in America for, 200 years. And that is that every 17-year-old man has...
Yeah, can be considered a militia.
Is a militiaman. And, back in the day, they kind of thought that was a responsibility that you take upon yourself.
Yeah, and to my couple little things that I have read about it, I mean, people had pride in that type of stuff. It was like a big, it was a thing. It wasn't just like, oh, well, you can or you can't. I mean, people did.
Well, it probably had a greater effect on those people who had such pride for it because it was still a young country, and they had already lost loved ones in that war that gave us the country that we have.
Yep.
So, of course, you'd want to pay that respect for something that was forged out of the wilderness, or taken away from a king and given a place where it could be a new country, the new world. I mean, that's what it was about.
Yeah, it really was.
A lot said today.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. We only got a couple of minutes left, but still, wow, a lot to think about.
Yeah, that's and I know we got a little off track as far as the usual Second Amendment stuff, but this is important.
Didn't even get to the new laws that have passed here in California.
Well, can we rattle a couple off in a minute real quick?
Well, I think we could. Yeah. The first one, I don't remember the actual title of the bill, but turn your neighbor in.
Oh, yeah. I can't believe that passed.
Oh, my God. That's going to be a violation of our constitutional rights from the first, the second, the fourth, the fifth, and the 14th all together.
Yeah, good. Yeah. And mark our words that we will see this in court.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I am so sure of it.
Think of this. What if it goes all the way to the Supreme Court and they hold on to it just like they did with stops for DUI stops, which is totally against the Constitution as well. If they hold on to this stuff, you can guarantee that police, DAs, lawyers will be able to manipulate your rights around the bend of this.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
because this will set precedents.
Yeah, just like now, there's a lawyer that can bend anything. There will be lawyers specifically for that type of stuff.
Oh, God, yeah.
That will say, no matter what, I'll either get you yes or I'll get you no. No matter what, I can bend it.
Personal property being seized with a lawful warrant because now it's lawful for us to do it this way. Being accused of a crime that you haven't even committed and losing your property because of that. You know, your freedom of speech, even if you were to disgruntledly say, God, I wish that guy was dead, that can be construed as something that you may want to harm somebody, and all of a sudden you've lost all your rights.
Yep. I just see it. I see it as way more of a problem than a solution.
It is.
It's going to start a huge controversy. Nothing real good is going to happen. Yeah, we might actually catch a couple people, but who knows? I mean, the thing is, we have the potential to catch people now.